Consume other types of media apart from social media. So you will absolutely get information in details in the books that you will not get anywhere else. Hi everyone, this is Paul Loves Read, and as you know in this channel, it's all about spreading the love and joy for literature. And we hope our little channel helps you find the right book for you. Today we're going to talk about this amazing book. It's called Empire of Pain, The Secret History of the Sackler Dynasty, written by Patrick Radden Keefe. This was published, I think, just this year, 2021. No, hold on. Not so sure. Let me check. Tama, 2021. Published in 2021. So it's fairly new. And it is packed. It is so dense. It is a lot of information. It is amazing, incredible reporting, journalistic work, masterpiece. So this is a nonfiction book. It chronicles the life of the Sackler family or the Sackler Dynasty in the United States. This is a heavily researched material about the family themselves, but also their connection to the opioid crisis that is happening in the US right now. So that has been happening until now. I guess that's what the author is trying to say, but not actually saying it, because there is this family, the Sackler family, who is profiting from the pain of people, of patients. And they are profiting because they are prescribing their medicine, which is OxyContin. Okay, so I guess just to add a little more context on the book, I like the way it's written because it's heavily researched. It's not just about the drug itself. It's not just about the OxyContin. It's about the family. The focus is heavy on the family side, on the Sackler family. Who are they? How come you've never heard of them? And what is their connection to this drug? And why them, and so on. So the first part of the book, the first two parts, I think, the first two parts of the book really heavily focuses on the family, how they built their empire, how they started out in this industry, and how they kind of, expanded it, climbed the ranks, and even pushed for certain policies on how big pharma would do business in the US. They are pioneers, their family. They're pioneers in that field, and they have done a lot. They have contributed a lot, and their business evolved throughout the decades, and their sons and daughters inherited this business, and now it is this big animal that it is now today, and it's still an ongoing problem, I would say. So what is it? It's a drug. it's a chemical, essentially, right? That is used by big pharma to a few pharmaceutical companies to treat pain. Okay, it's for pain management primarily. When you overdose, there is a likelihood of overdosing, and of course that's a bad thing. And that's when you get dependent on the drug. And that's when you keep trying to look for the drug. And that's when you get hooked by it. And before you know it, you are addicted. Again, it's one of the bestseller books. It's one of the most highly recommended nonfiction books out there. And I tried as much as possible to mix up my reading list between fiction, nonfiction, and different genres. So I thought, okay, I don't know anything about this family. I don't know anything about this opioid crisis. I don't absolutely no idea what this is about, but they said this is a good read, so hey, maybe I could learn a thing or two. And I'm so happy that I read it. Even just the first few pages, I knew that I would want to keep on reading. Partly because the author writes so well. He really writes in a friendly, understandable tone and relatable tone. So even if you have no idea what this is about, even if you have no idea who this family is, like me, and no idea what is the opioid crisis, like me, the author manages to bring you to that journey. The author manages to tell you the story in a matter-of-fact way in an interesting way, and he also manages to inform you, to let you know about these different facts in kind of almost an entertaining storytelling format. So ano kasi siya, he's very chronological. So he really started back when the three Sackler brothers started the business. So it's really just para kang nanonood ng biopic almost. You know, if you're going to compare it to a movie, it feels like that. It feels like a biopic movie. The story starts from the 1930s to now, to 2021. So how many years is that? How many decades is that, right? That's a long timeline. But you as the reader, you will not get lost. Absolutely not. The writer, the author, takes you step by step. He will guide you every step of the way. You will not get lost. You will follow the stories of these people, the stories of the companies, the story of the drug itself, how it was produced, and so on. So it's very well written. Yeah. Very relatable, very friendly. So there are academic portions, right? There will be portions wherein he'll be technical and really explain to you what the drug is, what it does, and so on. But he will always relate it into human stories, like how does it affect you, and who are the people affected by this, and what happened to them, and so on and so forth. So it's, it would resonate with you more. I got interested because, one, it's always worth understanding and worth knowing what's happening in the world. And mind you, this is still happening. This is an ongoing case in the US. This is an ongoing problem in the US. Just look it up in the internet. You'll see it. It's right there. And it's good to know these things, just to be aware of what's happening around you and consume other types of media apart from social media and apart from what you see in the internet, right? I mean, there is really something to be said and to be appreciated about investigative reporters and journalists who release books. Why? Because it's in-depth, it's heavily researched, and it's fact-checked multiple times. So you will absolutely get information in details in the books that you will not get anywhere else, right? So that alone kind of helps you form your own opinions about it, and form your own, apart from your own opinions, but where you stand in things like this. And if and when it happens here, for example, what would you do? And just to be well informed, for example, at the very basic of it, just to be well informed of what the drug does. What is it? Why is it dangerous? What makes it dangerous? Just appreciate the science behind it. Appreciate the scientists behind it. And appreciate also the lengths that people will do to try and get this drug, and why. And also the lengths that people will do to try and stop these big pharma companies from producing these drugs. So get to just try and be informed when it comes to these things, and just learn. Yeah. So I think if you're into that, you would appreciate this just for the sake of learning, just for the sake of history. And it's not even history, diba? Kasi it's still happening. But just for the sake of finding out different sides of the story. He was very careful to give a very balanced, I have to say, you have to credit him for that. He's very careful to give a very balanced account of what happens. It's very heavily researched, exhaustively chronicled, chronologically told. So yun nga, you won't get lost. And if you want to know more about the issue, there's a lot of it in the internet. One that I would recommend is that John Oliver in HBO, yung show niya yung Last Week Tonight by John Oliver. John Oliver is another great reporter, by the way, and he covered this story already 3 times in the past, I don't know how many years. So if you want to know more about the opioid crisis in the US, kind of like a summary of it, siguro instead of reading the whole thing, siguro the John Oliver episodes would help you out. I watched it after I read this. I watched all 3 episodes of John Oliver concerning this topic, and it helped me kind of, put my perspective in order, and it helped. So maybe that could pique your interest as well. I do feel like you won't regret reading this. It's packed full of information, and you will definitely learn a lot from this book, and you would definitely appreciate more about how big pharmaceuticals affect policies and how they're distributed and what kind of, drugs go out to market and how they go out to market, right? So it's interesting in that sense. It's very well written, very heavily researched. So I feel like if you're really into that type of books, then you would appreciate this. Yeah. And if I can just say one last thing, you know how they say na parang when you like a movie so much and there's a lot that you like to say about the movie but you're running out of words and you would just end up telling the person to just watch it. So parang ganon. Whatever I told you, it's just, it's so mababaw pa. It's just the surface. I haven't even scratched the second layer. So read the book. Try the first few pages. They have a sample in Google and in Kindle. Try the first few pages. Download it and see where it takes you.